Hello, royalty fans, and welcome to our TLT show for our round 11 matchup versus Parramatta Eels in the most probably biggest round of the year, Magic Round. We play on Saturday night at 7:45. It is the Eels home game, which is nice. We get to go up to Brisbane and use this as an away game, which is great. Aaron, how are you, fella?
I'm hot. I just walked in the door. I literally just walked in the door from basketball. So I'm hot, but I'm here and had a quick cold shower and we'll get into it. We had a win. Hit a few threes.
Hit a few threes. That's exactly what you mean by being hot, eh?
That's it. I need the cup for the ice, mate. I hit 4 in the last 5 minutes. That was good stuff.
Absolutely awesome. Mate, a bit of fun. We're starting to get into it. We're starting to get up some good ones, but give us something you've noticed in the world or NRL or just in your own life.
My one's not really a fun one. I just want to shout out Joey Walsh. I think that kid is going to be an absolute star. We've only seen a little bit of him for Manly there, but now that they've blooded him, I just think they have to play him. I don't know what they do with Brooks and can they play him in 14 or can they move him, but I just really think this Joey Walsh kid's got it, and Foz has got to play him. So that's what I've noticed. I thought he was unreal last week.
2 games in, and we're already calling for him to start somewhere in the halves. I think Brooks is actually since Foz has come in, has been better than good. He's been pretty bloody fantastic, to be honest. So he deserves his spot, and Fogarty is definitely one of the better halves in the competition. I think Joey Walsh is in a really good spot to be able to get those minutes where he can, because those two will inevitably be injured at points in time. He got named. I saw today that he got named at 19, so he's on the bench there, and it's good that he's actually just getting there. He's being in and around the club and doing what he's doing is great for it's great for experience as it is, especially with the way that they're playing.
I was going to say if they weren't winning, you'd get him in the side for sure, but the fact is they've started winning now. Foz has got there, and you probably
5
need
and
to
6, I think, isn't it?
Probably need to play that, and they've got the Tigers this week, and they've got the Tigers at a good time as well. They're still going to be missing everyone except May, so yeah, they might give him a little run maybe at the end of the game if the game permits. But I think they've got to find a way to get him in there because he's going to be a future star. He already is a star.
He is. I'd love to sign him out at the Storm and just sit him in the background and let him watch behind Hughes and Munster and play in a year's time or two. But my funny thing is I've got 2. So I've got a funny one and then I've got a serious one, but I do have to just reach over to go and grab it because it's a bit fragile. So I'll do that in a second. But my funny one was, I'm not sure if you saw in the news. Did you see that parliamentary guy over in the UK and the video that's come out about that? Have you seen that? Mate, it's freaking hilarious. Go and do yourself a favour and Google it. So this UK politician, he accidentally referred to the cost of living crisis as a cost of leaving crisis. And then his excuse to get back was an autocorrect, even though he was actually speaking out loud. When I saw that today, I freaking just lost my shit when I saw that. I thought it was so funny. He blamed autocorrect instead of just saying, yeah, nah, sorry, it was a bit of a speecho. I'm just going to flick my camera off for a second. I'm just going to reach over. I am still here. Now, I'd want to make sure that this is pretty fantastic, but I promise it is. I really do. I promise it is. So my wife today went out and she's been playing with this picture, and I want to show you how awesome this has come out. And I'm sorry about the glare and things. Black frame, white border, pictures come out absolutely fantastic. There's still a little bit of mucking around with it, but my gosh, how sexy is that?
That's good.
Aaron?
She's done well.
Aaron, you both did well, let's be honest. So I just wanted to put that out there and think that that's not far away from come. It's a bit of a sneak peek. There's a few things happening around that, but I thought I just wanted to get it out there. One thing I've noticed, I thought it was fan-bloody-tastic. And it was worked pretty hard by yourself and my wife. But And I'll give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Freedom. We had him on the show this time last week. Con from the Freedom Finance Group. Get on board and mention Purple Rain for that $500 discount plus everything else that he will look for you, especially with that RBA rise. You can get his number sitting in the bio. Mate, let's get into it. Massive game this week. We play Parramatta. The one club that absolutely hates us, but most of us don't even care. As I said, it's a Saturday, round 11. It is Magic Round, which is an enormous weekend, and I hope Queensland holds on to this round. But, dude, so let's start with Parramatta as the home team. So at fullback, it's Joash Papali. God, he was good last week. On the wings, Brian Kelly and Josh Addo-Carr. In the centres, Sam Rani and Russell. In the halves, you got Volkman with the 6 on his back and Moses with the 7. In the forwards, Moretti and Junior Paulo with Talon De Silva at the hooker spot. On the edges, there's Kelma Tuolangi, Jack Williams, and lock is Jack DeBellin with the bench, Dylan Walker, Saxon Pryke, Tony Maytali, Charlie Geimer, Appa Twiddle back, and Tian Brown, which is basically, if I remember rightly, I think is exactly the same 19-man squad as the win over the Cowboys. So they've gone with a big win over the Cowboys and kept the same team. For the Storm, we've got Sua, who's been given the all clear with his facial fracture, and the HIA was never an issue, and has been named at the one with Warbrick and Moses Leo, who comes in for Hugo Peel, which unfortunately has a medial knee ligament injury, which is a 6 to 8 week injury. So Leo comes in with some pretty good form out in the resis for us. So it's good that he's actually had a few weeks of good form. Named into the NRL team with Howarth and Meaney in the centres, Munster and Hughes in the halves, Stefano and King forward, Harry Grant at the 9, Sean Bloor and Lasardi on the edges with Liero named and rounding out our 13. And on the bench, it's Trent Tolau, Cooper Clark, Davey Moali, Joe Chan, Stanley Hewen, and Preston Conn. There's only 2 changes to this team. It's Peel out and Conn into the 19. Aaron, what's your initial thoughts?
Initial thoughts are I looked at the Eels games, and like everyone's going to go back and say we flogged the Eels in round 1, and this is a good game for us coming off a win that we can potentially win another one. And I'm sure a lot of Storm fans have got some hope after last week, and they do think we are a big chance this week. But I don't think you want to be too complacent with the Eels, because I wrote down here they're bipolar. I mean, like last week, they played the Cowboys, and they played probably their best game for the year. They completed at 91% and ran for 2,000 plus meters. Now, if they do that and they put up a performance like that against us, it's going to be a real hard game. But then on the flip side, you go back through a couple of their losses, which are terrible, like 52-10 to the Titans. They completed at 64% and just they got no go forward in the middle. And even our game, they were 63% completion, and then a few times they've been low 70s as well. So I just think it's a game we should win, and I think if we play like we did last week, we will win. And I think it's about the middle, and it's about unlocking Harry, because he is the key to our attack, and if he can get the halves working off him, we look good, and we've seen it last week. It frees everyone in the whole side up. So, yeah, danger game, but a game we should win.
I'm not going to go and say a game that we should win, etc. After watching what they did last week, there was moments where I fully and utterly wrote them off, and the game was over against the Cowboys, and then they got up and won it. I think bipolar is a really, really interesting way to say it, because they can be world beaters like they did when they beat the Broncos and come back last week against the Cowboys. But then they can stink it up really bad and get put on the list twice for 50 points and just be really poor, and their fans are all over the socials calling them out, and they've had enough and all sorts of things, and it's a bipolar. I'd hate to be a Para fan at the moment with the way they're playing, because I really like their list, and I think on paper their list is good. Obviously there's a few injuries, but their list is still pretty good. My initial thoughts, I'm very happy. So, unfortunately for Peel, I thought Peel was pretty good last week, and I thought defensively we were able to cover him, and so he didn't have to make the reads and do the things that he had to do the week before when we looked atrocious. So, I thought on attack he looked pretty good when he got the ball and when he had those opportunities. And as a winger, a lot of the time, there's only so much you can do if your team doesn't like it, if the team's going elsewhere or doing other bits and pieces, or the line just breaks and you don't need to be used. I thought he was good, but it's a shame that he's 6 to 8 weeks. But I do like that Moses Leo is back, and the form that he's been in with some recent games over in those resis is great. And so yeah, I think Moses Leo's matchup on the weekend is a little bit better for the wingers with Adokar on his side. I think off memory, but I can have a quick look anyways. But I'm pretty
Hey,
sure it's him
am I
versus
right in saying? I think they've named Moses at centre, haven't they? And then
no,
they'll probably
Moses
change.
Lee. No, Moses Lee is at 5. Meaney and Howarth in the centre. So actually, Moses comes up against Brian Kelly. So Brian Kelly will be an attacking beast because he is, and that's what he's good for, and he has shown that. But defensively, he suffers a little bit too. So Moses Leo, I think's got a good matchup with Brian Kelly there, and I'm pretty happy with that. I think let's move into now some of our community questions on the team list that we put out today. And the first question I've got here is, man, I read this just before, and I thought, bloody hell, this is a good question. So I hope you're ready for it. This is from Mike Shannon. This week feels like a real line in the sand moment for the Storm. Looking at individual performances, which forward do you think most needs to kick it up another gear? And which back is under the most pressure to improve their stats heading into this round against the Eels? So let's break this into 3 parts. This is absolutely the line in the sand. You lose this game, we're done for the year. Finals is basically out of contention. We're not going to get there, especially because we're going to lose Grant, Munster, and the like to Origin. So, do you agree that this isn't a line in the sand moment?
I mean, if we lose it, it's going to put a lot of pressure on. I mean, it would still be possible, but yeah, this is one that you don't want to drop. Not now. You've just got your momentum back. This is like, did we actually earn to get our momentum back, or are we just going to turn back and play shit again? So, yeah, no, I agree. This is a huge game, probably the biggest one in the last 8.
And then from there, which forward do you think most needs to kick it up another gear?
I think I would like to see Kingy have some more impact in the middle. I mean, he's been defensively sound, but I think I'd like to see more in his attacking stats. Not necessarily passing the ball or whatever, but just take a few more runs and take a little bit more pressure off. So maybe Kingy, I would say.
So, some stats on Josh King, which are a bit surprising. So far, he's had 10 appearances, 4 tackle breaks, averages basically a tick under 8 hit-ups a game, has 5 offloads, has a tackle efficiency of 96.2. He averages 88 run meters.
Yeah. So defensively, I think he's been great. Like he always is great. He does his job every time. And look, he has missed a couple of tackles, but like you never go, oh shit, that's a bad miss from Joshy. He always does his job in there defensively. So if he can add a little bit more, just a little bit more to his attack and maybe bend the line a little bit more, I think it'll just help everyone around him.
Myself, to answer that question, I think I would love to get Stefano back to that Origin form, pre-Origin, post-Origin form that he had last year, especially with the lockdown edges that Lasardi and Blore showed last week. If we can get if he can work off the back of those two, especially with Lasardi and his attacking prowess and his work rate that he has, if we can get Stefano to that form, our whole entire team changes. Because I think Lasardi and Blore are locked down. That they will be what they've got, and that is them, and they will do that every single week. Now, what if we can just get Stefano to lift another 20, 30 meters, start to get that offload back, an effective offload, instead of just trying to hit the ground and then getting back up again. Like, I really think that like, he, off the back of him, that frees up Harry, which again, we saw last week. If he's free, then so's Munster and Hughes, and our whole team is a very different beast.
Yeah, like you said it. If he can get back to that in round one against the Eels, Stefano had 19 runs for 240 meters, and that was in 50 minutes. And the second row there that round was Chan and was Lasardi, and both of those blokes had 15 and 18 runs for 150 odd meters each. So I think you'll find tomorrow night they'll be aiming to get a decent amount of runs out of Lasardi and Chan again, and that hopefully. Just takes a little bit of pressure off those forwards in the packs.
And the last part of that question is, which back is under the most pressure to improve heading into this game?
I think most people, with Moses coming back in, when Moses got omitted from the side, he had a few defensive issues there, and he was missing a few tackles. And even in the twos last week, I mean, he did have a reasonable game, 132 metres, but he missed 4 tackles out of 11 and had 4 errors last weekend. So I think Moses needs to keep it simple and just to really just focus on his defense, and like his offense will come. He's a strong man. He takes big runs. He has a crack offensively, but he needs to keep his head on his shoulders and just keep it simple. And he doesn't need to do the flashy things, because I just think it puts us under pressure. If there's errors there, it just puts unnecessary pressure on us, and that'll get people calling his name again, and we don't want that.
I agree, but I also think that if Howarth can pick up the game that he played last week and just improve that slight little bit more, again, that whole edge, because he'll be next to Leo. Which is huge for that setting. So, I mean, if he goes to the left, which I think he should, I would assume that he will. He did it last week when he played with Peel. So I think that'll just be the way that will go. And if he can do that, then get that attack, that just frees up Leo. And again, that whole left edge is now not a diabolical shit show. It's, it's an edge that can defend and then attack on the other side.
Every time when I was said before, he's in centre. What I wrote in my notes was every time Moses has been picked on the wing, they've swapped Meaney in the last hour before, and they've swapped Moses back to centre, and they've put Meaney out on the wing. Now, Moses has played those 2 games in Cup. They were both at centre, so I don't know. I prefer to personally keep him out on the wing and leave Meaney in the centres.
Correct.
But I just don't know if they'll do the flip again. They've done it twice so far this year. I don't know if it's coming. That was more my...
I hope they do what happened last week. I hope Howarth and Meaney switch. Meaney goes beside Warbrick and Howarth plays beside Leo, whereas last week he played beside Peel. I just think that just shores up that edge so much more.
Yeah.
There is lots of comments, but more so around that they want to see some eel soup. We want to make it 10 in a row. Love to see Pahulu back, but... Oh, actually, here's a question for you. George has said that he'd love to see Pahulu get a run, but who would you swap him in for? And at this point in time, I probably wouldn't swap him in for anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see him get a run too, and the fact is he's coming off a week off, so maybe not this week. I mean, I hope they get him a run in the twos this week so that, he is ready in case we need him in the future. I don't just want him sitting there doing nothing and not getting a run in either the ones or the twos. If he's sitting idle, he's not adding any value. So we do want to see him get a game somewhere, but with the way we played last week and the bench, the way it looks now, it really looks like they'll play Mawali off the bench. There's an opportunity there to potentially give Hinchy or Con a run if we're in the game, or Ewan a run, even maybe, but I think it would be game dependent. I don't think it's part of the plan. The part of the plan would be to do similar to last week and stick to what worked.
Yeah, and Pahulu's 20. And we've already got a very loaded forward bench. Clark, Mawali, Chan, Ewan, Con. So even if one of them does pull out, I probably wouldn't be putting Pahulu into that.
Like we gave Stanley a little run last week, and he looks like he can hold his own. Is there a chance maybe that when Trent comes off on his rotation, you could get Stanley into the 13 and give him a go in there, and then you could put Trent back through the middle for his second stint and see how that goes? I think Trent playing north-south and really just trying to punch into the line and just simple play the ball and focus on the little things, which is the defensive end for him. I think that adds to how we like to play. So I don't know, that's an option. We could
I
see
would
Stanley again.
love. I would much rather see Liero come in as in that second stint and as a prop instead of into that lock. I think that would be great, to be honest. Let's go into some key matchups. So I've written these ones myself, and I know that you'll have a couple that you want to add or that you will agree with. But I have to start with the key playmakers in this game. And I've gone the Battle of the Halves, and it feels like most weeks we say the Battle of the Halves. I think the Battle of the Halves was such a big thing for the last 5-6 weeks because we've been so poor that we relied on those two superstars of the game to step up. They showed last week that when Munster plays free and simple and Hughes just runs the ball like he did off the back of really good forward play in Harry Grant, our team is a completely different beast. Now, on the other side, you've got Mitchell Moses and Ronald Volkman. Now, we all know what Mitchell Moses is. So this is is this the preview of the 5-8 Origin battle that we're going to see in a couple of weeks between Moses and Munster? And also, don't go sleeping on how good Ronald Volkman has been for the last few. To be fair, I've picked him up in a few of my draft leagues in Supercoach, and he's popping out 70s for me. He's been fantastic, but he just runs, and he feels like and beside he's a really nice pair with Moses because he wants to run, whereas Moses wants to run, but he's a playmaker at the same time. I think the Battle of the Halves is a really number one key matchup.
When we played him in round one, we obviously had a real tactic to shut down Jonah, and we know Jonah's game inside and out, so it was a little bit of an advantage for us there where we could get inside his head and rattle him a little bit because we kind of knew what was coming. With Volkman, I mean, he's a classy player. He was an up and coming star with a lot of potential, but just had some injuries there and really just missed out on some opportunities. So now that he's got one, I think he's trying to hold on to it with two hands. He knows that Pizzette's leaving at the end of the year, and so does Jason Riles. So he would be keen as to put a performance in that warrants his selection next week. So definitely dangerous there. And then you've got Moses, who last week sealed the game with a golden point field goal and a penalty after that. But that's probably one of Moses's, I wouldn't say best games, but it was one that would have really given him some confidence to go forward towards the Origin period. So he's trying to stamp his claim for an Origin jersey. And then for the Storm, Munster's finally put a good game in where he would have gone home happy last week. And really he knows now that he's Cameron Munster and he's got that in him. And it's there. We just need to bring it out. And we all seen what Hughesy did last week, 3 try assists and a try. He just did what Hughesy does. So big battle of the halves, but I think on paper we've got them, but games aren't won on paper.
Next on the key matchup, I've gone with Harry Grant versus TDS, or if you don't know who TDS is, that's Talon De Silva. My simple statement to this is, and you're going to elaborate even further, but when Harry Grant gets to play north-south, we just don't lose. When he can get quick play of the ball and he can just run forward, and even if it's just he quick play of the ball and run, and I said this on the preview show on Sunday, and I'll repeat it again, and I'll probably say it many, many times over the course of our careers as Purple Rain podcast, but if he can get quick play of the ball, and even if it's just 2 really fast steps that gets him 2 meters up the ground, that just changes the whole line. So if Harry Grant can go north-south, we will win the game this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. And we seen it last week, and we talked about it in the review as well. Every single time Trent got the ball in his first stint, he tucked his head in behind the ruck. And he just ducks into that hole there, and he doesn't make huge meters in there, but all it does is it makes the defense compress, and it makes everyone retreat. And if we can compress that defense, and then Harry can bounce out over the advantage line with his one-handed scoop, which he does at ease. He's the best in the comp at it by a mile. If he can just jump out over that advantage line and the defense is still retreating, then that brings Money and Rome off his shoulder, and then that gets them playing downhill, and then our back five become really dangerous. So that's the blueprint every week. We're going to say it every week, but that's exactly what we want to do.
That's what Storm need to do, and just simply the way it is. I think the next one is it leads into probably, and I could have put this one as the number one, because if this matchup works, the number one Battle of the Halves helps. because Grant starts getting run. But I've gone the key matchup, Stefano versus Moretti. Now, Eels are all about just hard up the middle. They want everything to go straight, hard, and up the middle, and then allow Moses to off quick play, off broken play, off even a bit of chaos, run it out and be that free spirit so that he can then shift the ball out to the edges and use that amazing speed that they've got in the Addo Cars and Brian Kelly's. He's very quick. And then even Sam Rani last week was fantastic.
Yeah, it's been
So
good.
I think the battle of Stefano versus Moretti. Now it's essentially it's Stefano versus anyone that any of the pack on the other side. But Moretti's the young guy that's trying to step up due to a whole heap of injuries that the Eels are dealing with. He's been okay. He's been decent. He hasn't been bad at all. I think this is massive. If Stefano can get anywhere near 150 plus meters off some decent hit ups, that frees up all the key matchups.
Yeah, and like that definitely would be nice. But the best part about this battle with Stefano and Moretti is that last week we got to the privilege of bringing someone like Cooper Clark off the bench who comes on and actually causes havoc. Like when he came on, he was a handful. So it's like we've got a bit of a 1-2 punch that's developing there. And Cooper's only young and he hasn't really had a chance to play too much at prop for us. He's been asked to play on the edge and then asked to play some shit minutes in games where we were just already down and out. So if Stefano can lay the platform and really get that opening 20-25 minute stanza and make an impact, then you've got the 1-2 punch with Clark coming on against a team that's already a little bit worried about our forwards. So I think over time, those two are really going to develop into a big 1-2 heavy hitting combination. So I'm excited to see Steph go big for sure. But I'm also excited to see now Clarkey coming off the bench and just really sustaining that pressure for the rest of the half because they need to work in tandem and every good forward pack rotates through their bench and they don't lose anything when your big bopper goes off.
Parramatta's forward pack last week, Moretti played 28 minutes, had 8 hit-ups for 117 runs and a tackle bust. Junior Paulo played 55 minutes for 18 hit-ups and 170 runs and a tackle bust. Tuolangi Jack Williams had 15 and 11 hit-ups for 147 and 148. And it was off the back of those big bopping guys in that second half, particularly in that last part, that just freed up Mitchell Moses to do what he wanted to do. And then if Mitchell Moses gets free from those forwards and is allowed to attack the line like he does and really dig in and get those short balls, he's bloody hard to stop. And so I think that forward pressure that you've got, and then the forward start with Stefano versus Moretti, and then into when Stefano comes off and Clark and Moali and the like come on, we've got to continue that punch because it's important.
Yeah, and like we're coming up against probably one of I would say, the best in-game kicker in the competition. I think Mitch Moses has got a grouse long kick, and he will get his team out of. If we get them pinned on their line and they've got to come out, he'll get onto a rocket and he'll put it down the other end, and he can get them out of trouble even if we're pinning them down in their end. So I mean, it's going to be a field position battle, and we've really got to try and hold them in, use that line speed and pin them back, because like last week we did that against West, but Jock Madden couldn't kick him out of trouble because he doesn't have that boot on him. But this week, even if we do that same win the middle and really pin them back and get that field position, you've got someone like Moses who's going to send a rocket down that's going to make probably 10 or 15 more meters than Madden last week. So
he's got an unreal ability to be able to get that 50 meters no stress, and he can push it 60.
Super kick.
He's got a bigger kick than an AFL player. It's wicked.
Yeah, he's got a great long kick. I mean, he's in like game kicking as well. His attacking kicks are great, but just more his defensive kicks where he has to get out of trouble. He's competition elite.
Any other key matchups that you want to single out, or we hit that on the head?
I just think we've got to watch out for Tuolagi Kalma. He's one of those players where if he finds form in a game, he's hard to stop. I don't think he's the most consistent player ever, but he's streaky. Yep. And if he finds some kind of ascendancy or gets a little sniff of playing well, look out because he's a dangerous player. So I really think we've got to control Kalma's run.
What is that? So it'll be Lasardi versus Kelma. So
Perfect.
Lasardi has that ability, that same sort of ability, only he hasn't been playing for as long as Tuolangi to break games apart. Like we watched, like Kelma blew the Broncos off the park at the start of the season. He just had, he has that weird and knack to be able to just 5 or 6 runs,
game,
bang, there's 2 tries. Like,
yeah.
So he's just got that. That'll be a wicked matchup, Lasardi versus Tuolangi. But I also think
I'm glad it's that side.
Williams.
I'm glad it's that side. I'm glad that Lasardi's got him. You know, I prefer Lasardi to have him than Blore. I think it's a better matchup. I think it's 2 big bodies, and that's gonna be a good battle.
2 big bodies that love to attack, but both can defend. The only issue is, and as rightfully so, is that Kelma does disappear, and he has moments where he disappears for games, and then he gets dropped. But when he gets back, then he goes and gets himself some form, and then he just comes and blows people off the park, and then has the same thing.
He's good. His good games are really good, and his bad games are really bad. He's got to, if he can just bridge that gap between his ceiling and his floor, he'd be a really solid player. I mean, he'd be a great pickup for someone.
Edge. Yeah, everyone would lock him down.
100%.
If he can nail that consistency. All right, so let's go into our blueprint. So I've got a few points here, but Aaron, let's get you to start. Is there anything that you think particularly that we need to do to beat the Eels this weekend?
At least control the ruck. I mean, I'm happy controlling the ruck. I'm not saying we have to win it, but at least control it. Don't let them play downhill, because if they get the ball out the back to Moses with some time, he makes good decisions. So, and he's a smart halfback. He's one of the smartest halfback game managers in the competition. So obviously we need to just minimise Moses' time with the ball. That's where I'd start with my number 1 tactic. But last week, the discipline thing, we did really well, and that's another one. We can't give them any field position, and we can't give them any march them down the field with shit discipline, because we don't want to put any pressure on ourselves, because we've struggled for 7 weeks, even last week. Like, now that we've stopped the rot, we need to make sure that we continue that, because if we get a couple of tries put on us, I don't think it'll take too long to just feel like everything's crashing down again. So start well, minimise Moses' time, and don't put any extra pressure on ourselves, because we're still taking baby steps to get out of this hole. It's taken 7 weeks to get in there. One win isn't the answer to fixing this problem. 1 win is nice, but it's not. We're still in this hole. Let's not sit around here thinking we're world beaters because we're beating the West Tigers missing 5 players. We need to stay consistent and put in a really good performance this week, so that then we go into next week against the Doggies and we're even more confident, and we're slowly getting better and better. So that's my take. It's baby steps out of this hole.
So well said. I've got a few points, so let's talk around these ones. So we've obviously got to get our forwards to go forward again. That's very simple. We need a Kingy to step up. Like, I think you gave him a bit of a shout out before. I think that's really important. Liero needs to continue that form that he had to start the game last week and continue to do that. And if I can see Liero attacking the line and being smart, and then like turning his big body and putting his ass into them, and then getting that little offload, or even just holding the ball and causing them to come at him and then just be simple, that would make me a very happy man. So I think our forwards it's really important. And you nailed it on the head before. It's not just the Trent, Kingy and Stefano. It's then getting Cooper Clark off the bench to just be a wrecking ball like he has been as just a 19-year-old kid, that you just say, mate, just get the ball and just run hard, clean up somebody, put him in hospital and get out of there. Like, just simplify the game for him. So I think that was really important. I wanted to just talk around, and you sort of you started talking to it. We said it as a key matchup, but we need to curb Moses' influence. Now, you said get up and dig into him really early. Don't allow him to be able to see the field, be able to play the way that he wants to play. I think we do just need to really, really heavily dig into the line, and get line speed is just really, really important against this Para team, particularly with Moses. But I think the ruck is where this game's going to be won and lost. If we can control the ruck, we will control the game. And so that to me is really important. Another way that I think is a good way to beat Moses, and I want to see at the end of this game on Sunday and Saturday night, memes all over the place, memes and gifs just coming out at Harry just whinging like Moses does, just to try and curb his influence that he has with his leadership. Mitchell Moses is a fantastic leader. Mitchell Moses is one of my favourite players in the competition. He's a fantastic leader, but he is renowned for his whinging and he's renowned for his arguing, and it works. And he gets away with it, and he gets the next penalty, and he gets a lot of the things that they want. And I'd like to see Harry going up there and saying to the ref, he's whinging again, call him out, stop it, give him a penalty, turn it around, red card, black. I want Harry to get in there and do that. So I'd really like to see that, because I don't want to see Mitchell Moses influencing the game in Magic Round in the prime time position game, which is a Saturday night at 7:45, controlling what happens with the refereeing and officiating.
Could probably send a bit of traffic his way as well, put some big boys through his chest and tire him out, because, he's such an on-the-ball 7 that he's going to, probably have 50 or 60 touches throughout the game. So if you make him make 25 tackles, it might slow him down a little bit. But as you said, Volkman is no slouch either, so you can't put all your eggs in one basket just because Moses is the origin halfback or 5'8" or whatever you want to call him. But I think it's just try and tire him out, try and get under his skin, try and get him sooking about the ref, try and get him flapping his arms around. And
he's going to do that anyways.
Yeah, so that's it. Let's do it.
What I want is our boys. I want your Munsters and our Harry, your Grants and all sorts of things to go back to the referee and say, have a look what he's doing. He's whinging, call it out, but do the same things, and really just stick it out to it so that it doesn't get that influence that he had, because he clearly did that last week against the Cowboys, and it works for him. And it works every week, and he can do it until he gets called out for it. He don't give a shit about what the community says about him and how much they whinge in the memes and stuff, as long as he gets the calls and they get what they want. So I think what we need to do is fight fire with fire and go straight back at it. Yeah. The next one I've got on my list is target Brian Kelly. I think it's Leo and Howarth, I hope it is. Brian Kelly is renowned for being an absolutely appalling defender, but he is one of the top echelon wingers in the competition for attack. So I think we just need to run not everything, but run a lot down his throat and force him to play big time defense.
Yeah, we're going to have to kick to someone, and I probably wouldn't be kicking to Joshy. We know he's experienced and he's solid there under the high ball. Plus, his kick returns, he just gets on the hammer, and he's a strong body. So I think the ball's either got to go down Joe Ash's throat and try and rattle him early. He's only young, and if you can get in his head, that might throw him off his game. He's one of those flashy, if things go his way, he's another one that's could be potentially pretty dangerous. We've seen it last week. And Brian Kelly, I think we'll be kicking over to that corner at least and making a decision between Papali and Brian Kelly, and then trying to trap him that side.
Yep. Next I've gone is Addo Carr. So we touched on it. We want to avoid it, but he loves Magic Round, and he has the record for most tries this week. In Magic Round, he scored 8 in Magic Round games. He is leading the competition for that stat. How do we stop him? Because when the Fox is on the run, I don't care who he plays for. God, I love him.
Yeah, me too. The best thing ever was when Fox used to play for us and he used to get into open space at Amy Park. You never hear the place go off any louder. Like, I've heard some loud cheers, and when Fox got in open space, we used to love that. And how do we stop it? Obviously, we kick away from him. We don't let it there. But he's going to go looking for work, because he does that as a winger. He goes into the middle, and he has some big tough carries out of their back ends. I probably think that's where Josh can add the most value for them on Saturday night. That's where they might need him the most. If Husey kicks like he did last weekend, and we really manage that field position, Josh Addo-Carr's got a huge job there, because I can't see Joe Ash taking too many runs out of shit field position. And look, Brian Kelly's probably not the right man for the job either. So I think the second rowers and Joshy are going to have to do some really hard work to get out of our back end. So if we can just control that line speed, get up on them, kick chase nice and fast, and make sure that we minimise their time with the ball at the back, it should at least minimise their impact.
Love that. And the last point I've got here is we have to play 80 minutes. So we blew the Tigers off the park last week in the first 20, and then played solid without playing good enough. And it was just that there was a little bit of last minute class that the Tigers were missing. Plus, obviously, defensively we were fantastic last week. We can't have a game where we play 20 this week and then just see what happens and blow them off the park early. We just can't do that. We saw last week what Para can do at any stage of the game. To score that try at 74-minute mark with Sam Rani running from the opposite end of the field, and then Papali's try at the 76 2 minutes later, and then they go into that puts it to extra point, and then Moses does what he did in the golden point. It seems like Para, just as you said, are bipolar, but they're never out of the game. We have to play a full game.
Especially when we're a bit bipolar ourselves this year. I mean, we've been playing in games. We've been bipolar. We've played 20 minutes on, 20 minutes off, and we've lost games by being bipolar in one game. But they are definitely dangerous, and they've shown last week they can get out of a hole and come back for a win. So at any point in the game this week, they probably believe that the game's not gone. So definitely. Make sure we stick it out another solid game. I don't think we played 80 fully last week, but I thought for 80 we were pretty consistent, even though we had a 5-minute period where we let in 2 tries. It wasn't like we fully shit the bed like we have in weeks gone by. So just that level of consistency and that ability to realise that momentum's gone and then to stay in the game and then to fight our way back. So definitely agree, 80-minute performance is key.
Let's get into everyone's favourite segment. We are doing it on a Tuesday instead of on our review show because we couldn't, with the timing, get it out after the game in time for us to do the recording for our review show on Sunday. So we pushed it to today. 50 comments in Facebook around, you really want to know what grinds my gears? Our What Grinds My Gears segment. And I want to start off with, because I think you've got some info on some of our Storm Pathways boys. We've played 5 players from the winning Jersey Flag side in 2025. It's a pity we don't know more about them and others coming through. Do you have some information for Jen on some of our boys in the Rezzies?
Look, to be honest, I didn't see a lot of that game. It was on before, and I was with my son, so we were playing out the front in the purple paddock. But I do know that Preston Conn, people are talking about him as a future potential captain of the club. Now, right now, there's not a spot in the side, but I really feel like he's coming through, and he's gonna get a spot in our side soon. I don't know where, and I don't know how, but he's definitely one to look for. Angus Hinchy, he's on the bench. He's another one. I think he played 13 I think he played at lock on the weekend. He played really well, made some big meters, so he's definitely another one to look at. Gabriel Satrick, the hooker. People are talking about him as a future star of the game now. Whether we can hold on to him or not with Harry still at the club, I don't know. I don't know if he's prepared to stick around and wait to see Harry off, because I know Storm aren't letting Harry go ever. So, yeah, they're 3 that I know, and obviously the other ones they've already had a game. Like Cooper Clark, he's playing every week now. I don't think we leave him out of a side all year, barring injury.
I want to get his brother.
Yeah, well,
word is his brother's better.
At Para, yeah.
No, he's gone to Penrith.
Penrith, sorry, yeah, Penrith. You're right. Yeah, well, hopefully we can get him down there, and yeah, we have the Clark boys coming off the bench.
Word is he's better than Cooper.
Or starting up front, whatever. We'll have him. We'll give him that.
The Clark boys line up at the 2 front and then put Stefano at lock. Hey, that would be just monstrous. Andrew Beard has come out with a bit of an old grind, but here goes, he says. They significantly upgraded the size of the screens at Amy Park a season or 2 ago, then decide to use a third of the screen for the bloody score. What's that about? Just stick the score at the bottom like the TV coverage. Then we get much better vision of replays, etc. Now, Aaron, you are at every home game that you can possibly make, unless obviously there's a very valid reason you cannot make it. Have you noticed? I haven't been to Amy Park since I left Victoria 4 years ago.
Yeah, when the Storm do it, so sometimes the Storm home game, like as in they're all Storm home games, but sometimes like it's done differently when the NRL take Anzac Day, and it's done differently when it's finals. There's a different, like a different graphic on the screen because the NRL run it. Now the Storm just run it with like this huge one. I know exactly what he's talking about. It's like we don't need it that big, but I still think those scoreboards that they've put in there, they're fantastic. Like I sit all the way down one end, and you can clearly see the scoreboard at the other end. So I see the point, and yeah, they could definitely do a better graphic there. So come on, media team, let's get some decent graphics up there and make it more friendly for the game day experience.
We're getting big and we're starting to get a lot of views, Aaron. Start talking loud for our community, mate. Protect our guys. Ray Arthur. Now, he's gone out with a Warbrick's defense grinds my gears. He had a great attacking game the other day, but his defense was patchy. Of course, Chan having to fill in at centre would have thrown out the combination. Chan was doing great in the back row, by the way, but Warbrick's defense has been lacking all season, unfortunately. It's enough for him to write on our Grind My Gears post. I'm going to jump in here and then I'll let you go, Aaron. I don't think Warbrick's defense has been that bad. And to be honest, like, yeah, okay, he's had some moments and it looks bad, but a large majority of them has come when we were looking crap as a team and the ball gets shifted so quick that he gets left on an island or he has to make a poor decision. And we know that when he has to make a very quick decision in defense, the first thing he's going to do is rush the line and get up high. And I think some of that has come down to the fact that our forwards and our middles and our middle defense, as well as the edge without Blore and Lasardi and that being locked down for him, just hasn't supported him, and so he has looked a lot worse. But I don't think he's that bad.
I think last week he made one pretty poor decision when the that face ball went in front. He thought Taylor May was going to get it, and 9 times out of 10 Taylor May would have got that. So he rushed up on Taylor May and got scored on the outside. That was probably a bad read, but a lot of the time it's team defense. We play that back and away, and we let him come at us to a point where we can use the sideline as an extra defender and really push him towards the sideline. And then what him and Warbrick are told to do, and even the centres as well, what they're told to do is if they can smell an opportunity to get up on the player, they try and shut it down early. And you know, if it happens inside Warbrick and then he's got to follow his inside man, it's heaps better getting scored on the inside than the outside. So people used to bark on about Suli Vunivalu getting scored on his outside because he used to leave his wing, and then Sully left the side and everyone missed him because the guy was a superstar. I think I hate blaming the winger unless it's really bad. I think the winger's that he just gets left alone a lot of the time. Yep. So I see his point for sure. And if I was going to say a problem about Warbrick this year, for me it's his errors. I mean, he just makes a couple of silly errors. And that's frustrating me more than his defensive reads. Just when he gets up and doesn't play the ball properly, or a little drop ball, or just the little lapses in concentration. That's where I think that Warbrick needs to be better. He needs to concentrate and really stay focused on his performance, because his best is elite, and it really is. Like if he makes no errors a game and gives away no penalties, he's a top echelon winger.
Yep, agreed. I hate IP alone and con. I hate the short kick. Drives me insane. And I replied back saying that I understand what he's saying. I don't mind the short kick, but what I think and what I feel really needs to happen, and this probably, it's not my grind my gears, but this probably does piss me off a little bit, is that there's just no real major consequence for stuff-ups. So if the kick doesn't go full 10 metres, that should just be an automatic, like a full-blown penalty, and there should be or at least, a penalty, and then you get the decision as to whether you get to kick 2 or not. If the ball goes out of bounds on the full, there should be there should be much more severe consequences for the ball. The other thing that really gets to me is when the ball gets kicked, it goes short, it lands inside the 10, then goes outside the 10, and then it's like play on, and I don't like that either.
We got into it earlier in the year, and we said, mate, just get used to it because it's going short. Obviously, the Storm have had a meeting about this, and like we kicked one short. Sewer kicked one short, probably 20 minutes into the game on Sunday, and he kicked it. It wasn't short, it wasn't long, but it was in between. And it's kind of like the boys have said, if we're going to be chasing points, we'll kick it short and we'll try and if we need the ball back, we're going to do it. But if we don't need to do it now, we've been kicking it long. So I think the fans have got a little bit of what they've wanted. I've seen more long kicks in the last since we've been losing. I've seen more long kicks in that 5 weeks than I've probably seen in the last 2 years. So something has changed there. There's been a discussion about it, and I don't mind it, to be honest. I think picking and choosing when you're going to kick short is a good idea. If you're up by 20, kick it short. Try and get it back. Who cares? It doesn't really matter. But
especially when there's no consequences.
And if you're 4 points in front and you can't afford to turn it over and give it back, send it long. Like if it's a pressure moment and you're in front, send it long and just trust your defense. But the problem was for 6 or 7 weeks we couldn't trust our defense. So it's a fucking hard decision. Do you risk it and try and get it back, or do you trust the defense that you can turn them away? Definitely been a change there. I'm not sold either way. I just think you need to pick and choose when to use it.
My last one that I've got, there's some very good ones in here, but I'm going to go because I haven't asked you what yours is. But my last one is from Adrian, and he says, for 7 weeks, I was unable to go and get my grilled burger on a Monday. Adrian, I'm very disappointed you haven't gone in and told me what burger you got yesterday, because I haven't been able to get my burger either. So there's a shout out to Grill. Come and give us a sponsorship. They give out free burgers if you buy one, get one free if your team wins on the weekends. Lucky enough, I'm a Sydney Swan supporter and obviously a Melbourne supporter, so I've got one account for the Swans, which is my wife's account, and I've got one account for the Storm, which is mine. And for a long time now, I've been able to get some pretty cheap meals on a Monday.
That's it, and Grill's bloody good stuff, so that's a win.
Absolutely. Hey, Aaron, have you got something that's grinding your gears?
Well, I'm going to bring one up that's out of the comments, and I'm going to, it's from Dean, and Dean said, the one thing that drives my gears is when Aaron calls the referees umpires. Now, I'm sorry, I am a Victorian, raised on AFL my whole life. I was an AFL fan. Yeah, I know. I've changed, so, forgive me. But my whole life it's been the umpire, and now, look behind me, like my house is full of Storm gear. I don't watch any AFL. I watch every game of NRL every single weekend, but like calling the ref the umpire is just something that comes out. So, fuck, I don't mean it. Get over it. Fucking hell. Suck it up.
I went in to protect you, mate. I went in and batted for you, and then we got this. And here's my grind, my gears, which we didn't tee this up at all. And I thought you were going to avoid it, and I was going to avoid the initial comment and things like that, but because you've brought it up, I'll go in and say it. I was actually just going to continue on and say, the show's over, but I'm going to do it. I'm so sick of this mentality of victim blaming. If you're the one that starts the bullshit, so right. Originally, this was a little bit of banter, and I'm okay with that. Like, it is what it is. Like, yeah, okay, you call it a ref every now and then. Like, I don't care. Like, or umpires. Like, that's just superfluous bullshit that someone just wants to have a go at. But it's a bit of banter. Cool. All right, we're Aussies. This is what we do. Then when the banter comes back and is laughing at the same time, we don't need to go into this, I've got this problem, or there's a disability, or there's this thing, and victim blame everything when you were the one that started that crap, right? And I really hate that how social media has created this notion that people can go out there and say whatever the hell they want, but then when it gets burned back to them or gets turned around, which was not disrespectful or anything in any way, that you then go out and say, no, I'm sorry, and do the victim bullshit. That really pisses me off, man. I don't know if you've got anything you want to add to that, but I'm just so annoyed that shit happens all the time.
Yeah, I know, and the thing is, like I said it to you even in our chat, I was like, it's not worth, like, you go back again, and then it's a he said, she said, and then it's like, mate, just some people, they shouldn't give banter if they can't get a little bit back, so we don't need to say too much on it, but...
Exactly.
I'm going to call it an umpire every time now, so just sorry.
Get used to it. You know, in basketball, there are two different officiators. There's a referee and an umpire. just to put it out there. And then in the NRL, we've got, what have we got? Referee, but then we've got a touch judge. Just, what's a judge got to do with anything? Do they go to court?
Yep, that's our one.
That's the inconsistency of it. Well done, man. Great time. Don't forget to get around us on Saturday night, 7:45 for kickoff at Suncorp Magic Round, where every game is at Suncorp. I went last year and the year before. I went all 3 days. It was a fantastic experience. It was so fun. I unfortunately can't go this week due to some work issues and things like that, but I am shattered. I'm not going. Last year it was also fell on a long weekend, so the Monday was off. So it just worked out even better. This year it's not a long weekend up here in Brisbane, but man, I am tempted to just drive myself down to Caxton Street and just go and take on the festivities. It is they block off the whole Caxton Street all the way down. When the I'd especially like to do it when the Wars play, because they'll have a big parade and they'll walk down the whole of Caxton Street singing songs. It's it's pretty friggin' awesome. Every pub, every restaurant, every place is packed to the rafters of people having a laugh, and the NRL puts on a whole lot of fantastic events. That's it for us today.
I'll just get a couple of little shout outs here at the end. I think anyone who is heading to Magic Round, get around the Milton. Munster's bar's opening this weekend. He's got a part share or ownership in that bar, and
it's at the top end of Caxton.
Yeah, right up there, and they've spent really big money on that investment. It looks like it's awesome. So if you're in the area, get in there and support Munster and have him have a huge opening weekend there at the Milton. So that's one shout out. And the other shout out is to our jersey giveaway. There's literally 94 likes on the post. So that means that no matter what anyone else has done, there's only 94 people in that competition, because one of the prerequisites is you need to like the post to be in the competition. So that means at the moment you're 1 in 94 chance of winning a jersey, either an Origin one or a Storm home one. So it's not bad odds. So just get in there and like the post and follow the rules there, and you might be the winner. And anyone who is looking for some Origin gear for game 2, which is coming up fast, get on to Josh at City Sports. He said he's got that much stock of anything you want, Queensland and New South Wales, and he's a good dude. Go in there, mention our names, tell him you've seen us on Purple Rain, and he'll have a chat. He's a Storm fanatic and he's a legend. So get in there, support Josh, and get your Origin gear from him.
Love it. All right, guys. See you later.
See ya.